The slip of words. The grand hall of the alien palace was filled with glowing light. Strange colors danced on the crystal walls, and voices echoed in many alien tongues. Humans were rare in this place, and one human stood stiff near the corner. His duty clear, he was only a guard. His name was Daniel, a simple soldier sent with the Earth delegation. He kept his eyes down most of the time, but he could feel the weight of alien stares on him. At the center of the hall stood the alien princess, tall and graceful. Her skin shimmered like silver under the lights. Her hair was like flowing strands of light, and her eyes glowed a soft shade of blue. Her people called her the daughter of the stars. To Daniel she looked strange, but also beautiful in a way he could not explain. She wore a dress that moved like water, and every alien in the room lowered their head in respect as she passed. Daniel tried to stay calm, but his human eyes kept following her. He was only supposed to guard, not to stare, not to think, but thoughts came anyway. He noticed the curve of her form, the grace in her step, the power in her presence. It was unlike anything he had seen before. She was not human, yet his heart beat faster. He told himself to focus, to stay silent, but silence betrayed him. His lips moved before his mind could stop them, and words escaped. The words were soft, almost a whisper. Yet in the strange hall his voice carried far. He said, "She is beautiful. Her body is beyond words." The hall went silent. Every alien head turned toward him. The Earth delegation froze. The guards of the princess gripped their weapons. Daniel's chest tightened. He realized what he had done. A soldier was not supposed to speak. Not about the princess, not about her form, not like this. The alien princess stopped walking. She turned slowly, her glowing eyes fixed on him. Her steps were light but powerful as she came closer. The crowd held their breath, expecting punishment. For a human to speak such words, it was unthinkable. Some aliens whispered that he had insulted her. Others said it was bold honesty. Daniel wished he could take the words back. His heart pounded like a war drum. He wanted to bow, to beg for forgiveness. But his legs felt heavy, his voice lost. All he could do was stand there as she came closer. When she stood before him, the world seemed to stop. The princess tilted her head, her silver skin catching the light. Her eyes locked on him, searching, testing. Her lips curved slightly, not in anger, not in scorn, but in something he could not read. "You spoke your mind," she said, her voice soft but filled with power. "A human dares to speak of my body in front of all my people." The words echoed, and every alien waited for her judgment. Daniel swallowed hard. He wanted to explain. To say he did not mean insult, he only spoke truth, but no words came. His throat was dry. The princess leaned closer. Her glowing eyes narrowed. For a moment, Daniel thought she might strike him. Yet instead she whispered, "You are either very foolish or very brave." The hall filled with uneasy murmurs. The guards shifted but did not move. The aliens stared. Confused by her tone, Daniel blinked, unsure if he had just been spared or marked for death. Then something stranger happened. The princess smiled. It was small, almost hidden, but it was there. The sight froze the hall. No one had ever seen her smile at a human before. She turned away from him, raising her hand to silence her people. "This one spoke," she said, her voice calm. "Let him stand." "Let no one touch him?" the aliens gasped. The human delegation exchanged shocked looks. Daniel stood frozen, still trying to understand. The princess walked back to her throne, but as she sat, her eyes returned to him once more. They held a spark of interest, of curiosity. He had spoken words no one else dared, and instead of death, he had earned her attention. Daniel's hands trembled at his sides. He knew this was not the end. His slip of words had opened a path he did not understand. He felt every eye still on him, but it was her gaze that burned the most. In that single mistake, in that single moment of truth, his life had changed. He was no longer just a human guard. He had become something else, something dangerous, something important. And deep inside, the princess's smile promised that this story was only beginning. The unexpected smile. The hall remained silent long after the princess gave her command. No one could understand why she had spared the human. 1,000 glowing eyes still stared at Daniel, but none dared move. He stood frozen, unsure if he had just been blessed or cursed. The alien princess sat upon her crystal throne. Her long dress shimmered like liquid silver as it flowed over the steps. She rested her chin lightly on her hand. Her glowing eyes locked on him. There was no anger there, no hatred. Instead, there was something else. Something strange, a quiet spark of curiosity. Daniel's chest rose and fell with quick breaths. He wanted to step back, to disappear into the crowd, but he knew he could not. He had been marked now, marked by her attention. And in this hall filled with her people, the princess's gaze was a command stronger than chains. The guards who had once drawn their weapons now shifted nervously. Waiting for her next word, some aliens whispered among themselves, asking why a human would dare speak such words. Others hissed in disbelief. Their kind was known for cold judgment, not mercy. At last the princess stood again. Her dress whispered across the crystal floor as she moved toward him. Daniel felt his throat tighten. The weight of her presence pressed against him like a storm. Yet her lips curved faintly, that strange half-smile no one had expected. "You," she said softly, her voice carrying like music. "You will walk with me." The crowd gasped again, some aliens even shouted in protest. To walk beside her was an honor no common soldier should ever dream of. Yet she ignored them. She extended her hand, pale and glowing. The gesture was simple, yet it carried power. Daniel hesitated. His human instincts screamed at him to refuse, to stay safe, but something in her eyes held him. He reached out slowly, his hand trembling. Their fingers touched. Her skin was warm yet unreal, like soft light itself. The crowd's whispers grew into chaos, but the princess did not care. She led him away from the hall, down a corridor lined with towering statues of alien queens. The walls glowed with shifting patterns, showing scenes of wars, victories, and ancient glory. Daniel's boots echoed on the floor, each step pulling him deeper into a world he did not belong to. At last the doors closed behind them. Shutting out the voices, the corridor grew quiet. Only her and him remained. The silence felt heavy, yet strangely calm. "You spoke words no one dared to speak," she said, turning to face him. "Why?" Daniel blinked, his mouth opened, but no answer came at first. He shook his head. I did not mean to. I was only thinking aloud. I did not mean insult." Her eyes studied him, glowing brighter as if searching for truth. "You called me beautiful," she said. "You spoke of my body in my court. Such words could mean your death." Daniel swallowed. His voice came out rough. "Then why did you not punish me?" The princess tilted her head, her smile returning. "Because you were honest," she whispered. "And honesty is rare here. Even among my own people." Daniel stared at her. Confused in his mind, he expected anger, shame, even violence, but instead, he saw something fragile behind her glowing eyes, something she hid from everyone else. "You see strength and grace," she said, almost to herself. "But my people, they see me as flawed. My form does not match the image of perfection they demand. They bow because I am their princess, not because they believe." Her words struck him. She was a princess, yet she carried doubt. Loneliness hidden beneath power. For the first time, Daniel saw not just a royal figure, but a being with fears and scars like his own. "You are not flawed," Daniel said quietly, his voice steadied. "You are more than they see." The princess's eyes widened. Her breath caught as if no one had ever spoken such words to her. The silence between them stretched, heavy with unspoken meaning. Then her lips curved into a fuller smile, brighter and softer than before. "You are bold, human," she said. "Perhaps foolish, but bold. That is why I spared you." Daniel felt his heart pound harder. Not with fear this time, but with something else. He had stepped beyond the line of duty, beyond the walls of silence. And instead of chains, he found a door opening. But even as she smiled, shadows lingered in the corners of the corridor. Unseen eyes watched, hidden ears listened. Not everyone would accept this strange bond. The princess turned again, leading him deeper into the palace. "Walk with me," she said. "There is much I must know about your kind." Daniel followed, uncertain where this path would lead, but one truth was clear. The smile she gave him was more dangerous than any sword. It was the beginning of something that could change everything, and though the hall was far behind, the echo of gasps and whispers still chased them, reminding him that every step forward carried both hope and danger. A dangerous invitation. The corridor twisted like a river of light. Daniel followed the alien princess in silence. His mind still echoed with her words, her smile, her strange honesty. He had come as a guard, nothing more. Yet now he walked beside royalty. Watched by hidden eyes, the further they walked, the quieter the palace became, the noise of the hall faded, and soon it was only the sound of their footsteps. The air carried a sweet scent, like flowers mixed with electricity. The glowing walls shifted, showing new shapes, tall towers, burning suns, shadows of battles long past. Daniel's heart beat heavy in his chest. He kept glancing at her, at the way she walked without fear. Her long dress flowing like silver water. She had spared him, defended him, smiled at him. Yet he could not understand why. He was a human, a soldier with no rank. She was a princess of stars. At last she stopped before a great door carved with strange patterns. She placed her hand upon it, and the door opened silently. Inside was a chamber unlike anything Daniel had ever seen. The ceiling was high and filled with soft glowing stars. The floor shone like glass. A garden of strange flowers grew in the corners, their petals moving like living flames. "This is my private chamber," she said softly. "Few are allowed here." Her glowing eyes turned toward him. "Yet you will enter." Daniel hesitated at the threshold. He felt the weight of what this meant. To be invited into a royal chamber was no small thing. It could mean honor, or it could mean a trap. But when her gaze held his, he stepped inside. The door closed behind them with a whisper. The room fell quiet. The silence felt heavier than the hall. Daniel stood straight, not knowing where to look. The princess walked gracefully to a seat carved of crystal and lowered herself. Her eyes never left him. "You spoke," she said, "and you broke the silence of my court. No alien would dare, yet you did. Tell me, human, why are your kind so reckless with words?" Daniel swallowed. He searched for the right words. "Humans, we speak what we feel sometimes, even when we should not. It makes us honest, even if it makes us foolish." Her lips curved slightly. She leaned forward, studying him. "Foolish," she repeated. "Yet your foolish words reached me more than the polished lies of my nobles." Daniel frowned. "Why would they lie to you?" "Because they fear me," she whispered. "They bow, they obey, but their eyes carry judgment. They see me as their ruler, but not as their equal. To them I am a symbol, not a being." Daniel felt her words sink into him. He had expected her to be untouchable, strong without weakness. Yet here she spoke with a kind of loneliness. The weight of command pressed heavy on her shoulders, unseen by those who worshipped her. He took a careful step forward. "Then maybe they do not deserve to see you as you are." Her eyes widened slightly. She tilted her head, silver light catching her skin. "And you think you deserve it, human?" Daniel's breath caught. He had not expected her challenge. Yet something inside him pushed back against his fear. "I do not know if I deserve it," he said slowly. "But I see you, not just a princess, not just a symbol. I see you." The chamber grew still, her glowing eyes locked with his, and for a long moment nothing else existed. Her hand, pale and delicate, touched her own chest as if to feel her heartbeat. Then she whispered, "Strange, your words are simple. Yet they strike deeper than I thought possible." A soft light flickered across the chamber. Shadows moving, Daniel felt it too late. Eyes were watching. Small orbs floated near the ceiling, recording every word. The princess's smile faded as she noticed them. Her expression hardened. "They listen," she said sharply. Her voice cut through the air. And the orbs dissolved into smoke. "Even here, I am not free from their gaze." Daniel felt a chill. He realized then the danger was not only for him, but also for her. By keeping him close, by letting him speak, she had broken her own rules. Her nobles would see weakness in her smile, danger in her choice. The princess stood, her silver hair flowing as she stepped closer. She lowered her voice. "You should fear for your life, human. There are many who will see you as a threat now. They will not wait for my command. They will try to silence you." Daniel's fists clenched. His instincts as a soldier stirred. "Then why bring me here?" Her lips curved again, a dangerous smile. "Because I wanted to know if you would still stand before me when the shadows close in." His heart raced. He met her gaze. "I will stand for the first time." Her smile reached her eyes, but it was a smile mixed with danger. A smile that promised the beginning of a path filled with both trust and betrayal. The chamber's lights dimmed, as if the stars above had drawn closer. And Daniel understood. This was not only a meeting, this was an invitation, one that could change the fate of human and alien alike. The secret bond. The chamber was still glowing with dim starlight. Daniel stood in silence, the echo of her words still sharp in his mind. She had warned him that others would try to silence him. Yet she had also chosen to keep him close. It made no sense. Not to a soldier used to clear orders and clear enemies. The alien princess moved to the center of the chamber, her silver form casting long shadows. She looked almost fragile under the false stars. But Daniel knew better. Her presence carried power. the kind that could command armies, yet now, she looked at him not as a soldier, not as a subject, but as something else. "You wonder why I keep you here?" she said softly, her voice carrying through the quiet. "You wonder why I smile instead of striking you down?" Daniel straightened his back. "Yes," he admitted. His voice was steady now. "I do not understand." She turned her glowing eyes toward the garden of strange flowers. Her hand brushed against a petal that flickered with blue fire. "Because you are different, human, you spoke without fear. You looked at me not as a ruler but as a being for so long. I have been alone in this palace, surrounded by voices that bow but never see me." Her words were soft, yet heavy. Daniel felt them press against his chest. He realized then that her loneliness was deeper than her power. She was admired but never known, praised but never understood. "I am not blind," she continued, her gaze returning to him. "I know what my people whisper. They say my form is imperfect. They say I am not the image of a perfect heir. My silver skin too pale, my hair too wild, my body not shaped to their false standards." Daniel frowned, anger flashing in his eyes. "They are wrong," he said firmly. "You are more than their shallow image. You carry strength in every step. You carry light in every breath." Her eyes widened slightly, the firelight reflected in her gaze. She studied him as if trying to read the truth hidden in his heart. "You speak with such certainty. Do all humans talk this way?" Daniel shook his head. "No, but when we speak from the heart, we mean it." A silence grew between them, but it was not empty. It was heavy with unspoken connection. The alien princess's hand lowered from the flower, and for the first time, her fingers brushed his arm. It was a small touch, yet it felt like lightning. "You are dangerous." "Daniel," she whispered, "not because of your weapons, not because of your kind, but because you see me, and if you see me, then I can no longer hide from myself." Daniel's breath caught. He had not expected her to say his name. He had not even told her. Yet somehow she knew it. Her lips curved faintly at his surprise. "I know many things, human. I know your name, your mission, your past battles. But what I did not know was that a simple guard could change how I feel." Her words were more shocking than any blade. Daniel's chest tightened, not with fear, but with something deeper. He had stood in many battles, but none had shaken him like this. "You should not trust me so easily," he said quietly. "I am only one man. I cannot promise safety." Her glowing eyes locked on his. "I do not seek safety, Daniel. I seek truth, and with you, I feel it for the first time." The silence stretched again, yet this time it was filled with warmth. The alien princess moved closer, her silver hair brushing against his arm. She looked at him with something he had not expected. Hope. But beyond the walls, shadows stirred. The nobles who spied earlier had already spread their whispers. Plans were forming in secret corners. Their princess was being touched by a human, and that could not be allowed. Daniel felt the weight of unseen danger pressing closer. He could almost sense the eyes beyond the chamber. Waiting for him to fail, he clenched his fists, his soldier's instinct telling him the storm was near. The princess seemed to sense it too. Her smile faded slightly, though her hand still rested on his arm. "They will not stop, Daniel. They fear me when I am strong, but they fear me more when I am free." Daniel met her gaze. "Then let them fear. I will not step back." Her eyes glowed brighter, and for a moment, the chamber itself seemed to pulse with her power. She leaned closer, her voice a whisper meant only for him. "Then perhaps, human, we will stand together." The stars above flickered as if alive. The flowers swayed though no wind touched them. Something unseen bound the two in that moment. Not just words, not just touch, but something far deeper. A secret bond had formed, fragile yet unbreakable. And though danger pressed closer with every passing breath, neither the human nor the princess stepped away. They had crossed a line that could never be undone, and the world outside would never forgive it. The court's judgment the next day came with a storm of whispers. The great hall once again filled with alien nobles, their jeweled robes glowing under crystal light. The alien council gathered in a circle, their faces stern and sharp. Daniel stood at the edge, his heart steady but heavy. He could feel the weight of every alien eye pressing on him like stone. The princess entered with calm grace, her silver form shining, her hair flowing like rivers of light. Every step echoed, demanding silence. Yet Daniel saw something different this time. Her eyes were calm, but her shoulders carried invisible weight. She knew what was coming. One of the oldest nobles, His skin dark as obsidian rose first. His voice was sharp as a blade. "Your Highness," he said, "word has spread of your closeness to the human guard." Murmurs rippled across the chamber. Such behavior is beneath our royal blood. Such words from a human are insult. He should be punished. Another noble stepped forward, her long claws gleaming. "The court agrees," she hissed. "This human has broken silence. He has spoken of your form with no respect. If we allow this, what will the people say? That their princess bends for a lesser being?" The chamber erupted in voices, anger, scorn, outrage. Every noble called for punishment. Daniel stood silent, his fists clenched. He had faced soldiers before, guns and steel, but never words as sharp as these, yet he refused to bow. He lifted his chin and stared back. At last, the voices fell quiet when the princess raised her hand. Her glowing eyes swept the chamber. She stood tall, her silver skin shining against the crystal walls. Her voice came clear and strong. "You demand punishment," she said, "but punishment for what?" "For speaking truth." The nobles stiffened. "Truth?" The old one growled. "He insulted your sacred form." Her lips curved slightly, not into a smile, but into something sharper. "If his words were insult, why do they still echo in your halls? Why do they burn in your ears? Because they were not insult, they were honesty. Honesty that none of you dared to give me." Silence struck the chamber like thunder. Daniel's breath caught. He had expected her to defend him, but not like this. Her words cut through her own court. The princess stepped forward, her gaze unyielding. "For years you praised me with empty lies. You bowed, you obeyed, but you never spoke truth. A human spoke and you demand his death. Yet I say this, his words hold more value than your 1,000 lies." The nobles shifted uncomfortably. Some hissed in anger, others lowered their eyes. But the old noble did not bend. His voice rose again, trembling with rage. "If you protect this human, you betray your blood. You betray your throne?" The princess's eyes glowed brighter. Her voice grew sharper. "I betray nothing. I choose truth over hollow praise. I choose strength over fear. If my people cannot see the worth in honesty, then they are blind." Daniel felt the power in her words. He had seen leaders before, but none like this. She was not only defending him, she was tearing apart the false chains that bound her. The old noble spat. "Then you place your trust in this human? This outsider?" The princess turned, her gaze falling on Daniel. For a moment the hall grew still. She looked at him not as a soldier, not as an intruder, but as something greater. Her voice carried like a blade. "Yes," she said, "I place my trust in him." The hall erupted in gasps. The sound of shock filled every corner. Daniel's chest tightened. He had not asked for this. Yet now he was in the center of their storm. The princess lifted her hand once more, demanding silence. "This human's words did not weaken me," she declared. "They freed me. They showed me that I am not a symbol carved by your judgment, but a being of my own making." Her voice rang like thunder. The crystal walls vibrated. The nobles fell silent, some trembling with rage, others stunned by her defiance. Daniel stood taller, his heart beating fast. He had not spoken a word in his defense, yet her voice was enough to shield him for the first time. He realized just how much power her choice carried, but deep inside he also felt the danger grow. The more she defended him, the more her nobles would hate him. Already he saw their narrowed eyes, their whispers, their plots forming like shadows. The council broke in silence, no punishment given, no chains laid. But the air was thick with unspoken war. When the princess turned to leave, her eyes met Daniel's. A spark burned there, not just of trust, but of defiance. Together they had stood against the court. Together they had begun something that could not be undone. And as Daniel followed her out of the hall, he knew this was no longer only about words spoken in a slip. This was about loyalty, truth, and a bond that would either save them or destroy them both. The rising tension. The hall had emptied, but its echoes followed Daniel wherever he went. The noble's eyes still burned in his memory, their whispers like blades pressed against his back. Even as he walked through the glowing corridors of the palace, he felt it. Shadows watching, steps too quiet, silence too sharp. The princess walked beside him, her silver form glowing faintly under the shifting lights. She looked calm, but Daniel noticed the way her fingers tightened slightly at her sides. She was not blind to the danger. She knew what her nobles would plot. "They will not forgive this," she said quietly. "They will gather in secret. They will seek your end. Perhaps even mine." Daniel nodded, his soldier's instincts already on edge. I can handle danger, he said, but why risk yourself for me? Her eyes glowed as they met his. Because truth must be protected, even when it comes from unexpected lips. Her words gave him strength. Yet Daniel knew strength alone would not stop poison in the dark, or blades in the night. He had fought soldiers before, but this was different. This was a silent war fought with whispers, plans, and hidden knives. Later that night, the palace felt colder. The crystal walls flickered as if shadows moved within them. Daniel stood guard near her chamber, his hand never far from his weapon. The corridors were too quiet, the air too still. He knew something was coming. Suddenly a sound, a faint scrape of metal on stone. His body stiffened. His eyes scanned the dark from the corner. 3 figures stepped out, their cloaks shifting like oil, alien assassins. Their eyes glowed with cruel intent. Daniel raised his weapon, but before he could act, the princess herself appeared behind him, her hand lifted, glowing with silver fire. The assassins froze, their bodies locked in place by her will. Her voice was sharp as a blade. You dare bring death into my home? The assassins hissed, their voices twisted. We serve the council. The human is a threat. His presence will destroy us. Daniel's grip tightened. His heart pounded, but before he could strike, the princess's eyes blazed brighter. With a single gesture, she sent the assassins crashing against the walls. They collapsed in silence. Unconscious but alive, Daniel exhaled slowly. His body tense, he turned to her. They will keep coming. She nodded, her expression calm but fierce. Yes, and each time they will come stronger. But I will not let them take you, Daniel. You are under my protection. Her words struck him deeply. He had never asked for her shield, yet she offered it freely. It was more than loyalty now, more than duty. Something invisible bound them, something stronger than fear. As the night stretched on, Daniel remained close to her. He could not sleep. His mind replayed the attack again and again. He knew those assassins were only the first wave. The council would not stop until one of them fell. The princess broke the silence. Her voice softer now. Do you regret it, Daniel? Speaking those words? Starting the storm? He shook his head. No. His eyes held hers without fear. If I had stayed silent, I would not be standing here. I would not know you. Her lips curved slightly, her faint smile returning. Then perhaps the storm was needed. The bond between them deepened in that quiet moment. A soldier and a princess, standing against an empire of whispers for the first time. Daniel realized this was not just about survival. It was about change. A spark had been lit, and it could not be undone. But even as warmth filled the chamber, the shadows outside thickened. In secret halls, the nobles gathered. Their voices were filled with fury. She defends him still, one snarled. She places him above us, another hissed. If we do not end him, he will end us all. Plans formed in the dark. They spoke of poison, of exile, of war. They spoke of tearing him from her side. They swore the human would not live to see another dawn. And while they plotted, the princess stood at her chamber's window. Her gaze on the stars, Daniel stood at her side. Ready for whatever would come, she whispered, almost too soft to hear. The galaxy believes strength is silence. But you showed me strength can be truth. Daniel looked at her, his voice low. Then let them come. We will face them together. The stars above flickered brighter, as if listening, and though danger grew heavier with every passing hour, the bond between them only burned stronger. The rising tension was no longer hidden. It had become war waiting to ignite. The final decision, the dawn rose over the alien city, its towers glowing like fire under the rising suns. The palace bells rang, calling nobles and citizens to the great hall. It was a day of judgment, a day when whispers would become truth. Daniel walked beside the princess, his step steady, though his heart carried the weight of every eye that followed. The attack from the night before still burned in his memory. He knew the nobles had not stopped. He knew today they would demand his end. The hall was filled with more than nobles this time. Citizens had gathered, their glowing eyes fixed on the throne. Their voices hushed as the princess entered, her silver skin shining brighter than the morning light. Daniel stood just a step behind her, visible to all, a human where no human should be. The council rose, their faces like carved stone. The oldest noble raised his voice. Your Highness, he said, his tone heavy with scorn. The people have heard of your human. They have seen your defiance. Today we demand clarity. Will you choose your throne, Or will you fall for this outsider? The hall erupted in murmurs. Some shouted for punishment, others whispered questions. A few stared at Daniel with hatred. But some looked with quiet wonder. For the first time, doubt rippled through the crowd. The princess lifted her hand and silence fell. Her glowing eyes swept across her people. Her voice strong and clear. "You demand judgment," she said. "Then hear it now." She turned slightly, her gaze falling on Daniel. For a moment the world seemed to hold its breath. He stood tall, ready to face death, ready to face exile. But what came next was beyond even his guess. "This human," she declared, her voice echoing through the chamber, "spoke words none of you dared. He called me beautiful when you called me flawless. He spoke of truth when you gave me lies. He reminded me that I am more than your image of perfection." Gasps filled the hall. The nobles stiffened, anger flashing in their eyes. But the princess did not stop. Her voice rose higher. "You see him as weakness. I see him as strength. You see him as insult. I see him as honesty. He is not my enemy. He is my choice." The hall shook with noise. Citizens shouted in shock. Nobles roared in outrage. Daniel's heart pounded like thunder. He had expected defense, but not this. Not a declaration that would burn every bridge behind her. The old noble stepped forward, his voice trembling with fury. "You cannot choose him. You cannot shame your bloodline with a human." The princess's eyes blazed. Her silver hair lifted as if moved by unseen winds. "I am the bloodline," she thundered. "I am the throne, and I will not be bound by fear if I choose him. Then that is my right." Daniel felt the air shake with her power. He had seen battles before, but never a war fought with only words. The people looked between their princess and their council. Some shouted for her, some against. The hall became a storm of voices. Through it all, the princess remained unshaken. She stepped down from her throne and stood beside Daniel. Her hand rested on his arm, her voice soft but carrying across the hall. "From this day he is no longer a guard, no longer an outsider. He is my companion, chosen by truth, not by blood." The silence that followed was heavy. Citizens gasped, nobles trembled, Daniel's chest tightened. He had not asked for this, yet here it was. A bond sealed before an empire. The old noble's face darkened. His voice was low but filled with venom. "Then you have doomed us all." The princess raised her chin. "No," she said, "I have freed us." The hall trembled with her words. The people stood divided. Some bowed, some turned away. The council burned with fury, but none dared strike. Not when her power still glowed in her eyes. Daniel stood beside her, his breath heavy. His life had changed in one slip of words. But now, with her hand on his arm, it was sealed forever. He was no longer just a soldier lost in an alien court. He was part of something greater. As the suns rose higher, light flooded the hall. The storm had not ended, it had only begun. Yet in that storm, the bond between human and princess stood unbroken. And though danger waited in every shadow, their choice was final, their path was set. A human and an alien princess, bound not by accident but by truth. The galaxy itself would soon learn the weight of that decision.